All right, welcome, blog readers, filmmakers, editors, producers, all of the like who like to watch this lovely stuff. Anyway, I've been meaning to do one of these things for quite a while, and so I'm just going to jump right in and see what I can do. I've been putting it off forever, trying to make it perfect, trying to plan it all out, so I'm just going to jump in and ad-lib a little bit and see what I can pull off. This is Cammon Randle with BluFire Studios, and I want to do a couple lighting tutorials. Right now, just one from one scene that the film I shot a couple years ago, where we had minimal lighting tools, and I think that we had kind of a good result from the resources we had at hand. So I wanted to talk about kind of how we did that and the methodology and my theory behind what we did with that kind of stuff. So let me just jump into the scene here. Basically what we have is a nighttime, this is all nighttime stuff, and it was a ranger station with few windows through it, supposedly moonlight, and there were a few characters in there having a conversation about some stressful situation they were having. So let me just kind of go through and show you what we have. So we have, basically in this scene, we have two characters watching out the windows, and they had all the lights off, and all we had was some moonlight supposedly coming into the windows to illuminate things, and so we can see what's going on in the scene. So basically, when I like to look at a scene, when I talk to the director, I like to kind of figure out what, I mean, obviously you have a look and a feel you're going for, but I always strive for kind of practicality first. I like having motivation for my light. I like to have specific reasons to having things lit. Now that's not always the case, and obviously when you're shooting a film, you're going to want to make it look as pretty as possible, if that's what you're going for, with the environment that you have. So in this particular setup, we had, like I said, we had the two windows. This was actually a daytime scene, or a daytime shoot, that we ended up tinting the windows because it was actually cheaper to do it this way with the days that we had. I'm jumping around here. Let me go back to the here we go. My QuickTime. There we go. So this isn't the actual location of the ranger station. We actually picked this up and put it in the middle of the woods. It's another tutorial for another day. But this was the actual building that that we were in. So here is the actual building. You can kind of see that over here there's an overhang. What we did is usually what you'd want to do is get a bunch of duvetine, which is a nice blackout cloth that's flame retardant, specifically for filmmaking purposes, specifically for tenting and things like that. But we went and we got some black cellophane from Home Depot, and we hung it along this overhang on the rooftop here, so we could tent our ranger station during the day and get these shots off. So we basically tented this whole thing with the overhang. We had about, I don't know, 2 feet, 3 feet of clearance between the ceiling and the floor to stick something in there. Now the only lights I had accessible to me were some Kino flows. We had four bank Kino flows, and for those of you who are not familiar with those, they're basically your ceiling fluorescent lights. They're the long tubes, 4 feet long, high-end versions of those. They have some really nice light quality. They're meant to be portable. They're made out of plastic. They're pretty much industry standard for a lot of things when it comes to shooting film, video, etc., etc. So I had 4 of those on C-stands to work with for this kind of a thing. Ideally, what I would like to have for something like this would have been a little bit more direct control over the light and a little more space to work with. Like I said, all I had out this window was about 3 feet of space to work with. So I would have liked to have, you know, a 1200 or a little bit bigger fixture further back, shooting higher in through the windows, so we have a little more exposure on some of these things inside. But you know, you use what you can. The Kinos were cheap and we had them. So basically my setup in here is, here, let me actually pull this into Photoshop, and I'll do a little drawing on screen action. Here's my Photoshop, there we go. Okay, so here we are in Photoshop, so I can do a little demo. Get a nice color we can see here. That's probably a good size. Okay, so when looking at the scene again, talking to the director, we wanted to know, okay, this wants to be dark. We want it to be real contrasty, really pretty. actually that's kind of a good way to hide some of the low budgetness of a thing like this, where we didn't necessarily have enough lights to go in and really detail things out, you know, makeup, set dressing, etc., etc. So we just use a lot of contrast to kind of keep it, to keep the eye where we want it to be. And so the question was, is how do we go ahead and light these characters without making it look like we lit it more or less, and using just those 4 fixtures. So what I did is I stuck a Kino, depending on how we were shooting, I stuck a Kino on this side of the window. It's kind of hard to see because it's actually on the outside shooting in, so you can see the highlight on the frame there. And the same thing over here, I put one over here. And that worked okay. And then I actually had another Kino flow up above, just kind of filling in the ambient just a little bit. And the thing that you're fighting in a thing like this is when you're lighting it, when you want to raise the ambient, a good thing to do is to bounce it, or to have a really, really soft fixture that you can just kind of kiss the walls, you know, take out some of those really dark shadows. And I really should be showing you the raw footage. I should go and find our raw footage so I can show you how it actually looked like before it was colored. It's a little bit darker than I kind of would have done it myself, but I think it still works. So in this particular scene, like I said, I had a Kino right here shooting across so we could get some nice highlight off of our actress's hair right here. Same thing on this actor, so when it came across and shooting the window. And like I said, the one up above is just so we could kind of see a little bit of the room. So the paper, the computer, the desk, things of that nature. Now let me go ahead and move forward a little bit and grab the tights, because I used the same basic setup for the tight shots as well, because we had to move super fast and I didn't have lots of time to relight for every single setup. So for here, I didn't want it to be totally obvious that he was being, you know, lit by something. So I moved the light back as far as I could and over, so we weren't hitting him so much. We were mostly just kind of coming in here and lighting up the blinds like the moonlight was coming through. And then over here we raised the ambient a little bit, so when he looked back, it would have some definition on his face. So we had one Kino over here, up high and above, shooting it kind of said ambient, filling up his face. The other one was over here, filling in the window space. Same with her. So our other Kino is on this side, shooting in at her hair, and the ambient is just kind of filling up the room. So when she turns, we can still kind of see a little bit of her face, but it's still contrasty. It looks like nighttime. You can also see that when the Kino is kind of off to the side here, it's glancing off all this nice dirtiness on the window. So it makes it nice and nasty. One of the things we ran into with the cellophane on the windows, not cellophane, or whatever it is, the black plastic on the tenting, was it was shiny. So occasionally we had to be really careful about having a window that was too clean, or we had to worry about if we were shooting more directly into the window, we would actually hang our 1 or 2 pieces of duvetine or a floppy flag in front of it so we could have a nice flat, non-reflective surface. So that's pretty much the scene there. So we lit it with, it was actually 3 lights. So we had 4 at our disposal. We were using 3 in this particular scene, 2 for the windows to simulate moonlight, 1 on the inside just to kind of boost the ambient so it wasn't quite so dark so we could see when they turned their heads and stuff. And it turned out great. So next time I'll talk about some of the other scenes we have where I had a little bit more room to play, and it's kind of similar. But any questions, post your comments below, and I hope to do more of these, hope to be a little more prepared, but I hope this was at least somewhat educational and enjoyable, even though it was kind of a glossary over what we had done. And that's all. Thanks a lot for watching.